I wouldn't call it a diplomatic crisis, I would call it a hypocrisy on all sides.
The Czech society was divided, as many societies in contemporary Europe. Maybe that we can see this step-by-step growing tendency to reject refugees during the migration crisis in large parts of the Republic. On the other hand, I think that also the sympathizers of refugees are also visible in Czech public space. Yeah?
The Czech Republic is trying. I think there are some good steps for improving the local situation in the Near East or the Middle East. First of all, supporting the NGOs or humanitarian organizations that try to work with refugees, supporting refugees in the camps, so their local conditions would be good enough so those people can survive winter, for instance.
I think it was very badly played by both sides. The summer of 2015 there was a lot of tensions within Germany in terms of domestic German politics. The German Chancellor Angela Merkel needed to do something, so she did what she did, and it was basically mostly a message towards the German society. It was a domestic political message, and in the same vein, the reaction of the Czech politics and political parties was not much about the external world. It was a message towards the Czech people. So and I think that in a sense both sides know this.
The political parties, they were able to change the political attitudes towards migration crisis. The good example is the ANO party. This party led by Andrej Babiš, former Minister of Finance, and for example, this party changed partially the position towards migration crisis. At the start of the migration crisis, the majority or the main representatives of this party were maybe supporters, at least limited supporters of refugees. Later, the chair of this party changed his position and he rejected this migration or refugees strongly. We can see maybe some strong personalities and they are against, they are still on this maybe this side or in this camp of this criticism towards migration. I think that the most visible personality in this sense is the president of the Czech Republic, Miloš Zeman. On the other hand, yes, we can see in some parts of society also this pro-migration views.
If the Czech Republic does have any policy, which I doubt at this moment, and it can be policy that the Germans don't like, but then it has to be presented in a smart way. It has to be really thought through, and it must make sense, and that's something I haven't seen in the past too much. So I think that even the quota issue was simply not played well by neither of those sides. If we did come up with some kind of a policy that would be against, not against, but that would differ from the German position, I didn't see much reason behind that other than purely domestic political reasons. The Czech-German relations in the past 5 years moved rather substantially in a way that the Czech Republic tried to position itself into a partner that is strategic for Germany in the region. There was no concern about migration up until the crisis. The major concerns were social security, employment, stuff like that.
Of course, that maybe this rejection of German migration policy, it was relatively strong within the Czech public as well as within the Czech political scene. Angela Merkel was made responsible for this invitation migrants in Germany and partly in Europe. I think that she serves now also as a target of this pro-Kremlin forces in the Czech society.
If you're asking me about the big migration of 2015, I think it was a pragmatic stance of politicians that thought they knew that this will somehow help them domestically. They also knew that the relocation mechanism might look interesting in theory, but it would actually not solve the crisis as such. And they were not willing to play the game in a way that they didn't see that the German or the European Commission call as a call for solidarity. They saw it as a call for bending over or bowing in front of the big Brussels power in front of Germany.
I think that this solidarity within this pan-European framework is something not very typical of contemporary Czech politics, because I think that people in the Czech Republic, they don't have this strong European roots, for example, as the traditional EU countries. The large part of Czech public makes West responsible for their own problems, yeah? because the Czechs they have experience with this, in fact, ethnic homogeneous territory. This was the result of situation after the Second World War, and they don't understand. Many Czechs don't understand why in Western Europe is so strong a migration population, mostly the population of Muslims. Yeah? So that's a problem of this Czech national identity in this ethnic homogeneous area, in comparison with different experience and different history of Western European countries. Yeah, so here is really something what we can call gap between the Czech public opinion and public opinion in Western European countries.
That the Czech society or the Central European societies react in a different way than societies more towards the West. That there is more frustration, there is more anxiety, there is more fear, whatever. If it's real or not, I'm not to question that. So it definitely showed that in a structural way the societies do differ.
Traditional, as I said, after the Second World War, we can see this ethnic homogeneity on the territory of contemporary Czech Republic, with one huge exception. There are Roma people. The Roma minority, traditionally the main target of Czech ethnic hate, substituted by Muslims and by migrants, yeah? At least temporarily. But if we look to the current situation, I think that this division of hate between the one target Roma and second target Muslims and migrants is still maybe 50-50.
The conflict of Syria is based not only on, but also on the religious tensions, the sectarian violence. And speaking about North Africa, there are completely different points of the conflict or causes of conflict. Mainly the soil problems, the problems with dryness of the countries, and the fact that many of states at the North Africa are very weak or even failed, like Libya. So that is the main causes, and of course the people living in those places don't want to be there anymore, and they want to migrate to a much better and safer place, which is naturally Europe for them.
I think that the main principle of the Czech migration policy is restriction, yeah? But it is connected also with maybe with interest of a large part of the Czech public. Yeah? So I think that here is not very strong demand to establish stronger migration communities, and many Czechs are happy in this ethnic homogeneous environment. Yeah? So that's maybe also the guideline of the Czech migration policy, and a huge part of Czech political scene agree with this policy.